Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another DigiEduHack coaching call. My name is Madeline, and over a time span of 12 weeks, I will be guiding you through 14 different coaching calls on how you, as a hackathon host, can host your own hackathon from start, as when you register as a host on our website, all the way till you have finished and found your winners in your own hackathon. If you haven't seen any of our previous coaching calls, we're already almost in the middle, which is great. You can watch those in the same YouTube playlist. So all the videos will be saved in this playlist and for you to watch afterwards as well. So you can check out those first and then meet us back in this one afterwards. If you have any questions watching this live, you can ask the questions in the chat here under the video description, and you can also reach out to us on email at the address contact@digieduhack.com. If you want to have some live conversation with us and a more interactive way to talk to us, you can join us for our weekly support calls on Fridays, 10 a.m. CET time. And we're also there to answer any of your questions. Today, or this week, actually, we will be discussing the same topic over 3 days, not 1, but 3 days. Since you can plan your hackathon as an online event, an on-site event, or a blended event, we will go through all of these different formats and let you know how to proceed with each of the formats. Today, we're going to be focusing on an online event. So if your event will be on-site or blended and you already know it, you can simply watch those videos this week and skip this one. If you're unsure, you can watch all of them and compare. And if you're hosting an online event for sure, then this is for you. Today, we're going to go through some pros and cons of hosting an online event. We're also going to give you an example schedule with some detailed descriptions of what to include in every part of that schedule. We're going to go through some online workspaces that you can use for text and video communication. Also, a bit of tips and tricks on how to do the solution presentation or pitching, however you decide to do that. We're also going to let you know what kind of resources it's good to book for this type of event, and also give you some ideas on social breaks in your online hackathon. Starting off with some pros and cons. First of all, inclusivity and reach. Since it's an online event, you can invite participants from all over the world, breaking geographical barriers like you cannot do in an on-site event. You can also include people with other physical disabilities or other limitations that would lead to them not being able to join physically in an on-site event. Participants can also join from the comfort of their own home and any other locations, as long as they have internet connection. So it's convenient, it's flexible. Same goes for your mentors that are there to support the teams. They can also support the teams and work from home, so to say, without the need to travel and so on. And also online events can often be, not always, but often be a bit more cost effective than an on-site event. You don't need to book a venue for your hackathon or catering for all of the meals and all of your participants, travel, accommodation, so on. So you can simply skip all of these and only focus on the technical tools. One limitation, though, or a con, is the limited interaction. When you are online, there's a risk, of course, again, not always, but there's a risk that the collaboration or the collaborative atmosphere lacks a bit of the intimacy as it does in an on-site event, and the connections and networking and discussions that take place maybe a bit more naturally in an on-site event. So something to be mindful of, and make sure that you put some extra efforts into these aspects in an online event as well. As said, even though you have 24 hours to play with here, you already know that you can choose to divide those 24 hours however you wish over the hackathon days from the 6th to the 13th of November. You can decide if it's 24 hours straight. Is it 2 days with 12-hour sessions, 3 days with 8 hours, so on, so on. However your schedule will look, it's good to plan as well in advance as you can. If you are prepared for what you think might happen, you will also be better prepared for what might happen that you haven't actually planned or prepared for per se. We will now give you a run through of a 2-day session, or an example of a 2-day session. And again, you can use this as a template or inspiration, but by no means does your event have to look like this exactly. We would start our first day with an opening session. Here, remember I'll jump right ahead actually. Remember to thank here all your sponsors, all your mentors, all your stakeholders, or your participants already in advance, even though no one has started their work yet. So all the way from the beginning of the hackathon, make sure to thank everyone and make sure that everyone is included. We would start here with a few welcoming words to gather everyone by your facilitator or moderator or host. After this, you will be provided with a DigiEduHack opening video where you can simply stream it for your participants. It goes through the DigiEduHack project overall, and it's a good motivator for all the teams and shows that we're working in several different locations together at the same time. You have very interesting content, different tips and tricks. You have interviews with previous winners and so on. After that, as said, make sure to give a round of thanks for everyone included. Here you can also have additional sponsors or welcoming speech, or however you want to lay that out, completely up to you. Remember in this opening session to go through different practicalities, go over the schedule, once more remind the participants of their deliverables, when is the deadline for their solutions and what does it need to include, any other logistical things, different tools that they have and resources that will be at their disposal, and so on. After the opening session, as said, you can decide how you want to lay out your event. So nothing is mandatory of the things that I will now show you, just to give you a few ideas, give you some inspiration, but nothing is anything you have to do. After the opening, if the case is that your participants have all registered individually, but you don't have any teams, no teams, no projects, and so on, we suggest that you have a matchmaking workshop. We will provide you with a matchmaking template deck with more matchmaking tips and tricks, and we'll discuss this also in a later coaching call, so more to come about that one. But this is basically for individuals to introduce themselves and their skills and their backgrounds and interest. What would they like to work on in this hackathon? And then people with the same interest or good matches overall can then form teams. Since you're doing this online, you can stay in whatever video communication tool you are in, open up breakout rooms maybe, or you can decide how you want to facilitate and moderate this conversation. But let individuals introduce themselves and then match together teams. If the case is that your participants do have teams, but they don't have ideas yet. They're lacking a project idea. Then you can have a ideation workshop, again online in the same video communication tool. Here we will provide you with a self-guided template deck that you can give to your teams, and they can use to ideate and do some brainstorming and hopefully come up with a project idea here. Here it's good to involve your mentors if it's possible. They can give the team some inspiration and maybe highlight some relevant problems in your challenge area, or give them some ideas of what's been done before and how could they improve the current status. The third option, again, if you have several teams with different statuses, someone is in a team with an idea, someone doesn't have a project or an idea, then maybe you can open up again different breakout rooms or whatever for different workshops, however you choose to do that. But if the case is that everyone in your hackathon has a team and every team has already a project idea, but you haven't met your teams earlier, we will go through this again, and we've mentioned it briefly before, but there is a possibility for you to host a Meet the Mentors session. This is a session where the teams quickly introduce their ideas in a few minutes or so. What do they want to work with in the hackathon, and what are they hoping to accomplish, and so on. And the mentors who are there can quickly give their spontaneous first comments. What could they do in terms of background research or any technical testing or anything, just to get them started on their way. If you haven't done this, then you can do this in a session here for the participants' ideas intro. So same thing, let the teams introduce their ideas and their plan for the hackathon, so to say, and let the mentors give them a few comments on where they could get started. To keep this fair, we suggest that this is done in the main working space or video call that you have going, just so that the mentors' comments can be used by all the teams and all the teams know kind of what tips the mentors are giving in the first session. Yes. For the workshops, if your sponsors, stakeholders, yourself, anyone wants to have a workshop to give a better understanding of the challenge area or any particular tools or technologies that the teams will be using, any other relevant topic, we do suggest that you do this pretty early in the hackathon, so within the first 3 hours, just to make sure that after that the teams can work on their own projects. So if you have any keynotes or any workshops, you can add them, for example, here. Yes, as you can see in terms of breaks, we suggest that you have breaks every once in a while, so a few times during the event. Make sure that you can schedule these breaks and just let teams know whenever the breaks are available and that you've made some effort in terms of what those are. It's good to have give the teams a bit of a break from their own works, maybe give them a breather, let them network with other teams and so on. Here we're going to go through a whole slide of different ideas of online break activities. But if you want to do any physical light activity, it can be an online yoga, your yoga instructor is somewhere and your participants follow at home. It can be online games, it can be different kind of online networking activities and so on. Just make sure that there is a possibility for teams to let loose a bit in between their work. Yes, we also suggest that you do check-ins every now and then throughout your event. These are, again, pretty similar to the first idea intro part that I mentioned, just for the teams to let you know where they are at right now, what's the progress that they've done so far, have they run into any problems, were they able to solve those, or are they now stuck on something, and what kind of help would they need to go forward from this point. You can either here try to in this same video call that you're in, or the workspace that you choose, you can have all the mentors and all the teams join in this one main call, and the teams can one by one introduce their ideas or their progress so far. So what's the status? And the mentors can listen in and give spontaneous comments. You can also have all the teams in own breakout rooms, and you and your mentors go kind of in a mentor train from breakout room to breakout room and have this same brief conversation. If you want to be a bit more prepared on what the teams are going to tell you, and you can jump into follow-up questions immediately, you can also have the teams fill in this kind of check-in form earlier, or somehow let you know earlier in written format where they are at, so you already kind of know what they're struggling, and you can be prepared on how to help them. Even though the mentors are welcome to take part in this, make sure that no actual mentoring and long-term mentoring is taking place during these check-ins. So even if a mentor immediately knows that they have a lot to say about this, it's better to let the team know that Mentor X will be helping them once you have checked in with all of the teams, just to keep it fair for everyone and keep this session as brief as possible. And after you've gone through all the teams, then the mentors can scatter and start helping whichever teams they felt they have something to contribute to. Yes. After this, we go into the actual mentoring, as said. The mentors are not there to solve the problems or create hackathon solutions on their own on the challenge topic, but they're here to advise, support, inspire the teams, help them on their way without giving away the answers immediately, even if they would know how they would solve whichever hackathon challenge you have. Here you can think about how you want to facilitate this. So do you want to have a booking system that the teams can book mentoring slots with different mentors? Do the mentors book the teams? Do you have a specific mentor assigned to a specific team at all times? Or does it change? When does it change? And so on. So a few things to think about. Again, you're free to do however you want, but one way to go forward would be that you, during these check-ins, when you notice the team's progress so far and what they're struggling with as of right now, that would be one good chance to always decide on which mentors could help which teams after each check-in. Because if you assign one mentor that will help them throughout the whole hackathon, then maybe their expertise doesn't help with all of the struggles that the teams might have on the way. So that could be one suggestion, but again, up to you. In our example schedule, this would be day one and the different programs that would take place. When you come back for the second day, you would start with a short welcome back session. Keep it short, to the point. If this is in fact your final day, as it is in this example, remind the teams about the deadline. When is it? How do they submit their solution or their final materials, and so on. I can already say that there is more about how to submit the solution in a separate call as well. And you can also find instructions for this if you go to the DigiEduHack website and under participant support. So if you want to put yourself in their shoes, then you can find some instructions there. Yes, when it's time for the deadline, you collect all the solutions. Make sure here that every team submits well before the deadline has passed. So it's very important that you're fair with this and everyone submits the same time. Everyone will need to submit through the DigiEduHack website and the website form that is posted there. If you want, you can also have another local way. So if you want to collect the same materials directly to yourself in another form or whatever you want to send out, then that is possible. But please be mindful that the teams will have to submit also through, or at least through, the DigiEduHack website. You also find a bit more information about the solutions collection in the guide here, so you can click that and get more familiar with it as well. Make sure that every team submits only one solution and that that's their final version, just so that there's no misunderstanding and you don't show the wrong solution and so on. Yes. When you present your solution, you can decide here again how you want to do this. Do you want it to be a pitching session? Do you want it to be pitching and Q&A? Do you only want to stream materials given by the participants to you, or however you want to do that? We're going to go through a bit on a separate slide how we would broadcast, or one suggestion for how you can broadcast these solutions. But just as a normal and general way to go forward could be that you give each team, of course, the same amount of time, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you want, to present their idea. This can be live or this can be a pre-recorded 3 to 5 minute video as well. After this, you can have some Q&A sessions with the jury. The jury can ask some further questions about any parts of the solution, and the teams can answer and explain a bit further what their thoughts are and what their solution is. Again, even though it's online, this can be done in your video tool easily as well, live. After this, you go into solutions evaluation. So your jury would hear throughout the pitching and Q&A and the session there, they would write down scores on the evaluation criteria that you have shown them earlier. We will go through the evaluation grid and evaluation criteria in a separate call as well, so you will get notified of that. But the jury has been given this grid as well in advance, so they know what they will be evaluating the teams on. And same for the teams, do communicate the evaluation criteria in advance to them as well, so they know what kind of questions they're answering. Yes, so your jury will gather for a deliberation about the solutions and come up with your winning teams. Here, as a just a small tip or a suggestion again, if you have a lot of teams and you're only looking to, let's say, find a top 3, do check the jury scores, the combined jury scores, and maybe discuss the top X teams, however many you feel like you have time to. If you can see that some of the teams clearly have worse ranking, then maybe those are not the higher priority to discuss and try to rank with each other than the ones that are already on the top, just to save some time. Even though you locally can have your own rewards and decide on as many winners as you want yourself, for the DigiEduHack Global Award competition, we can only take one team. So the number 1 team from each local hackathon will be sent forward for the finale of the DigiEduHack Global Award competition. So even though you have, let's say, top 3, you also need to identify your top 1 that will be sent onward. Once you have your winners, you will meet again in your same video main room for a award and closing session. We recommend having this as a kind of short session. No one wants to hear too much information here and wait too long if they have actually to find out if they have actually won or not. Here you distribute the prizes as well. You thank your judges and mentors and teams and sponsors. If possible, try to have the jury members or sponsors or whoever to announce the winners and hand them the rewards, just so that it feels a bit more prestigious for the teams. Yes. And before you close your own hackathon, remember to mention the main stage event on the November 13th and make sure to remind everyone to tune in then and watch that regardless of what day your own hackathon is closing. So that's the main stage event for the whole DigiEduHack project. Yes. We recommend strongly that you collect feedback from your participants, just so that you know what you've done right, what you've done or could be improved for next time. So do remember to have, now that you're online, some sort of feedback form or however you want to meet in a session where everyone can tune in and give feedback, up to you. But this can be done however. One good time slot to collect feedback is during the jury deliberation, when the teams are still waiting eagerly to hear about the winners. So they're still focusing on the event, but they're having a break from their work since they are already done. So that could be one good time to collect feedback. For the grand winner submission, I briefly mentioned that your top one team will be sent onward as well to the DigiEduHack Global finale. So make sure that before that team clocks off from your online hackathon, that you have informed them about the next steps. So if you're meeting in your main video call room for the award ceremony, please ask that winning team to stay behind so that you can give them a bit of a brief. It is up to you as their host to hand them a link where they can submit their final materials. So it is done by the team and not the host. The person in that winning team that submitted their original idea for your local hackathon has to be the same person that submits through the link their final and winning materials. So make sure that that's the same. You can hand them the link. They have around 10 days or so to submit their materials, but the sooner the better. If they wait too long, they might forget about it, and after the 10 days is out, there's nothing we can do about that. So please make sure that they are sending in on time. If you want to improve the team's solutions, you can schedule a call with them to go through their winning pitch or video or materials or whatever the format is. Maybe you have some mentors that want to join and prep them for improving their materials before they send them onwards and so. But they have 10 days to do all of these. After the event, make sure that the grand winner has actually submitted their solution. Make sure to have a checklist of everything that was a success, everything that you did right and was a success factor, so that you can do the same things in your future hackathons or event. Write down maybe something that you noticed that could be improved. Analyze the feedback given as well from participants and mentors and sponsors and partners, so that you know what the general feedback was and how can you improve for next time. You can also write a blog article, have social media posts, any visibility that you can give to your own event and also your winning teams is very, very good. Yes, so that was about an example schedule of how you can build up and have your event running. Again, use it as a template for your own event. No need to copy it word by word. Since you're doing an online event, you will need to do and utilize some different online workspaces. There are several different platforms that you can use. So we're not gonna give you too many recommendations right here. We do however, recommend that you use the same tools when possible, so you don't mix too many tools where you don't have to. And you can find different tool recommendations in the host guide as well that we went through in one of the first coaching calls. For your video communication, all official communications, and with that we mean the opening event, the pitching or the presentation session, the award ceremony, you need to use an online meeting tool where everyone can meet and you can stream your information for the teams and every participant. You can use the Discord event space that is given to you when you register as a DigiEduHack host and get your own Discord space. You can use that for your participants as well and for your hackathon simply by creating a stage channel. Here you can host sessions with up to 50 people live. You can have several speakers and so on. If the teams wish to have their personal video chats or voice video chats in Discord in your own space, they can create them themselves by clicking the Create Private Team Video Chats as shown here in the picture. So this way, you don't need to go through the hassle of creating too many channels for your teams, and they can simply jump in with a mentor or whoever with an organizer in a video call whenever they feel like it, and so on. For the text communication, think about the structure of the tool. So what meets your criteria and wishes? Again, you can use the DigiEduHack Discord event space for this as well, but you can also use something similar. Here you would need to create private spaces for each of your teams so that they have their own workspace. And here you would invite or add the team members, of course, your organizer team, so you can stay on top of their work. Add the mentors so that when they are mentoring the teams, they are already in those channels as well. Also create a channel for the mentors where they can ask you questions or ask each other questions, one for your judges, and then some public channels for resources, general announcements of the different items in the schedule, important links or whatever that the teams need to be aware of, and so on. Since the structure and a clean structure makes the communication a bit easier, that's also one of the reasons that you could only create the text channels for the teams. And if they want to use the video or voice feature, they can simply create those one-to-one calls as they are needed. So then you don't need to have too many channels there at one time in your column. You can find more about this again if you want to think like a participant. In the participant guide, you can also find more about creating these video channels and so on for the participants. Yes. For the solution presentation, we briefly mentioned it a bit, but I want to go a bit more in detail to this since you are doing it online. So what do you need to think about when you are doing an online solution presentation? To have the best quality of these pitches and minimize any technical difficulties or any any glitches, any difficulties that you might come across. It's a possibility for you to ask teams to record a pitch video as a deliverable for the hackathon. So when they submit on the pitch submission deadline, they would submit a pre-recorded pitch video. This also, since there might be a lag if they're doing it live, and it might be difficult to clock, you don't know when they started and if your second clock is the same as theirs and so on. So if it's a pre-recorded pitch, then they can also control the length of the video to make sure that they stay on time and so on. And as said, again, takes away from any technical difficulties. Yeah, it just eliminates a lot of risks for you. So that is one suggestion or option for you. You would then broadcast the videos to your audience. Make sure here that you practice in advance because it's still an online tool and anything can happen. So here, when you broadcast the videos, you do as a normal setting where you would share your screen. Do remember to click the share with sound button. It looks a little different for different tools, but make sure that you are sharing with sound. Test this in advance, and I mean well in advance, even before the event with your team. Someone sends you a video and you try to broadcast it for the rest. Make sure that they are hearing you and there's no glitch and so on. Yes, that is basically our suggestions here, or our toolbox for you. When you collect the pitches from the teams, you can either let them add this as a file in the DigiEduHack website form, or you can also have your own form or other way of collecting these. But when they submit on digieduhack.com, they can also add a file, which would be their pitch video. So that is easily manageable. As of resources for your event, even though you don't have to cover any catering or venues or stuff, there is still some things that you need to take into consideration when running an online event. Even before, when you are inviting your accepted participants, you need to have someone setting up your communication channels, both on the text communication tool and on your video communication tool here, meaning that you have the stage for your main events. You need to add the participants and the mentors and stakeholders all to the right spaces, right channels, and so on. You also need to have a host or a moderator for all of your live events. So someone that is there for the opening and the pitch session and for the award ceremony. This same person or someone else can also be present for the check-ins with the teams to moderate that. Maybe lead the jury deliberation to moderate that and make sure that the conversation is flowing. It's also important to have support behind the scenes during these video meetings to monitor the microphones, the chat feed, let people in from a waiting room, maybe create breakout rooms and move people around if they have difficulties there, just to have better access of what is happening while another person is simply being the host and speaking. So have someone there to support in the room as well. You also need to have an on-call person to monitor all the text communication during and outside all of the live meeting times. Since you are doing an online event, you necessarily don't know where the teams are working, how actively are they working. So make sure that you have someone checking in at all times, ask the teams if they're doing all right every now and then. Make sure that the mentors know what to do and in what channels they need to be, and that they are finding the teams all right, and so on. So a special focus here is, of course, on supporting the mentors and the teams in the mentoring sessions, but also just facilitating and making sure that everything is running smoothly on your communication online tool that you have. If you notice that a channel is or a space in your one of the channel spaces in your own big workspace is not being used, it's very quiet, or there's nothing going on, and it's an unnecessary channel, please delete those and remove those, so that all of the channels that are visible for your team and your participants are actually in use, just to make it cleaner. There's not too many extra unnecessary channels that teams might lose their own focus on. So if there's you notice there's unnecessary channels, just get rid of them and have only the ones that are active there. And again, there might be a lot of different things when you brainstorm with your teams about the resources that you come up with that you need to take into account. So these are by no means the only things that you might need to resource for, but just a few things to keep in mind. To give your participants, as said, a break every now and then from their work, it's good to prepare some energy boosters to provide a breather, let their brain rest for a bit, let them network with other teams and the mentors and so on, and not talk about their own projects for a bit. Since you're online here, this can be again done in your main online stage or main room. You can play different online games, as you can see here on the screen already a few examples, but there are a lot. So any free games, you can have a team day and go through all the different games and play them and decide on which ones you like. You can also, as said, do online yoga sessions. You can do any other different activities. It can be a workshop on something completely unrelated to the topic, whatever the case may be. The most important thing here is to try and foster some interaction and networking across the team. So mix your participants a bit. And lastly, even though you're online, please remember to take pictures and videos of your event. You can do it from your own online studio or your own remote office where you and your team are working. You can have a photos channel, as you see here, a share your experience channel on Discord that you can share the content in. Make sure that if you have different picture channels in your own workspace for your own hackathon, and your participants are sending in pictures and videos and whatever there, make sure that you have their consent that you can share these, or then you can take screenshots of your own participants working in your main stage and so on. So make sure that however the participants might be involved, that you have their consent in showing here, and then share these contents in the Share Your Experience Discord channel. This way we can see them, we can highlight your pictures and your content on our social media channels throughout the 10 days. So we will not only do this as a after post-event post, but throughout the 10 days. So start on day 1 and send us pictures all the time throughout your event, so that we can keep updating with the fun content throughout these 10 days. You can see here on the screen again our mandatory hashtags, and also remember to tag us at DigiEduHack when sharing on your channels, and we can keep track, we can like, we can share, boost your content, and you can do the same for us. If you want some more tips on how you can promote your event during the event and what kind of marketing activities you can do throughout your event, you can check out the recording for Coaching Call 5, where we went through promotion and also showed you the marketing kit that we are providing. But share with us and we can show the world that we are doing this together. That, my friends, is everything for today and this coaching call. If you have any questions, you can contact us here, as said, over email, ask us questions here in the chat, and join us for our Friday 10 a.m. support calls. If you are hosting a blended event, you can still check out that recording. If you're hosting a on-site event, you can check out that after this week when all of them are published again. So compare these three, and otherwise you can meet us back next Wednesday for our next weekly call. Thank you so much and enjoy your evening.